Happy Monday. We are going to be looking at a text called Flying Blind. I'm going to read the text out loud to you and explain some of the questions. We're going to start doing things a little bit differently this week. I'm going to be reading the text for you today and model a think aloud and explain the questions. And then as the week goes on, I'm going to be releasing the text to you to be reading on your own. I'll still be explaining the questions, but we're going to start working on bits of the text on our own this week. So let's go ahead and get started. Happy Monday. So our standard for today is determine the theme of a story from details in the text, including how characters in the story or drama respond to challenges. So the theme of the story is that central message, that lesson that you're supposed to be learning, or the overall idea of this story. So we're going to be trying to figure out what the theme is of our text for today, which is Flying Blind. So we're going to go ahead and read the text. It's called Flying Blind. This is a text that we got from ReadWorks, and it is nonfiction. The red phone rings at 22:04 hours. State Trooper Ed Kurzwinski blinks and rubs his eyes. He spent the last 20 minutes staring into the radar monitor screen, and now its ghostly green circle burns the inside of his eyelids. He was watching this beautiful night turn to soup. One low bank of clouds moved in from Indianapolis. The other swept north from Louisville, drawing strength from the Ohio River like a man drinks a milkshake from a straw. The two storms met at New Lebanon and spread east over Dayton, gathering strength as they approached the Ohio State Patrol helicopter hangar at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Picking up the red receiver, Kurzwinski hears the first raindrops hit the hangar roof. As visibility drops to 800 feet, he knows the next phone call will be from the air traffic control tower in Dayton, grounding his helicopter for the night. "State Patrol," he says, trying harder than usual to sound bored. The 911 operator is new, Kurzwinski knows, but she is efficient and well-trained. Car crashed 3 miles north of Urbana on State Route 68, 2 females, both in critical condition. Request transport to Columbus Children's Hospital. Does State Patrol accept the mission? To stall, Kurzwinski takes a breath. Air Trooper 1 is at Bell 429 helicopter. Flat out, it can make it to Urbana in 9 minutes. He'd fly north by northeast, maybe a quarter mile ahead of the storm's face. Best case, he lands, loads the patients, and takes off before the rain really hits. Worst case, the storm overtakes him. He'd be stuck trying to land an underpowered aircraft on a 2-lane highway in heavy rain and wind, with no radar and no lights. Kurzwinski flips the question around. Most crash victims near Urbana go to Springfield Regional, the closest hospital with a cramped emergency room. If these girls need transport all the way to the Level 1 Trauma Center 45 miles away at Columbus Children's, they must be 16 years old, maybe 17, and they're in pretty bad shape. Beside the phone, the flight radio squawks with static. "Roger, Dayton Tower, this is Air Medical 3. We are leaving Springfield Regional, flying to base in Tip City. Over." Kurzwinski knows that voice. It's Dale Domer, a pilot who was hired onto Air Medical when the private company opened its first base 2 years ago. Between his fake southern accent and his coltish arrogance with a helicopter, Domer was a perfect hire for the guys who own Air Medical, whom Kurzwinski secretly considers a couple of half-wit cowboys. "Well, if they can fly in this stuff, we sure can," Kurzwinski says before dropping the red receiver back into its cradle. 6 minutes later, the rotors of Air Trooper 1 are spinning. The 2 flight nurses, Sam Shifton and Ariel Gupta, wipe raindrops from their forehead as they cinch down their shoulder belts. Kurzwinski pulls the throttle grip towards his knee and the steering stick in his lap, and the helicopter jumps off the tarmac. He veers east to outrun the rain. Kurzwinski takes a left turn, aims his nose for Urbana, and looks up to see the full moon streaming in through the windscreen and lighting up the cockpit. He chuckles. If he were in his car, he'd flip the sun visor down. To the left, he sees the moonlight bouncing off the storm wall. He thinks, that thing just got bigger. It's 6,000 feet tall now, and the high wind's pushing a knot of cloud toward the main front like a boxer throwing a punch. Kurzwinski pulls the throttle. The Bell's nose dips, and the helicopter shudders as it reaches 178 miles an hour, its maximum speed. Urbana comes into view. Kurzwinski uses the lights of Main Street to fly up the town's spine. Looking left, he sees the lights from the car lots on the west side of town become engulfed by the storm, turning the bellies of the clouds orange. "When we land, you guys are going to have to move," Krasinski shouts to the nurses in back. Finally, he sees the ambulance. Krasinski climbs, slows, brings his tail around 180 degrees, and drops his skids in the middle of the road. Gupta shoves the sliding door aside. The ambulance crew pushes one gurney forward. Together they lift the victim into the helicopter. "Where's the other one?" Krasinski asks. "She didn't make it," the paramedic yells back. Krasinski nods. The nurses fumble with the straps as they tie the gurney to the helicopter floor, which is jumping like a wild horse. "We've got wind," Krasinski says. Let's go, let's go." The nurses take their seats and Krasinski lifts off. The helicopter climbs, but slowly, fighting the storm. Krasinski thinks, I'm lifting, we're gonna make it." He sees the power line at the last possible moment. With the storm to his back, he cannot climb any faster and he cannot stop. He feels the impact before he hears it, and he knows he has hooked the power line with his skids. As Trooper 1 loses speed, time slows down. Krasinski pulls the stick with all his strength, hoping to break the line. The helicopter is temporarily suspended, roaring at full throttle but motionless in the sky. The radio comes to life. "This is Dayton Tower. Please be advised that all air traffic is suspended until further." So now you have 3 questions that you're going to be answering based on what you read in the story. The first question is, what is the theme of the text? So what is the overall message that you're supposed to be getting from that story? Question number 2. How does State Trooper Ed Krasinski's actions contribute to the theme of the story? So we talked about how sometimes the main character's reactions or what they do in the story can help you understand what the theme is. So look specifically at State Trooper Ed Krasinski's actions, and how are his actions contributing or adding to the theme of the story, helping you understand what the theme is. Number 3. Do you know for certain what happened to Ed Krasinski and his passengers? So at the end of the story, are you told what happens to him and his passengers? If so, what does happen to them? And if not, why aren't you told what happens? Why are you unsure? So those are the 3 questions that you'll be answering on Edsby once you have completed watching this video. And then message me if you have any questions. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday.